Hello, it's Friedrich here from my Irish studio, and today I want to quickly talk about a topic that's very close to me that I think about quite a bit, which is starting to paint as an artist. Not like starting in general, but each time you're painting. So you finish something and the next day, how do you start again? And that is something that for me, as I'm not full-time but have my normal job at a normal creative job at the same time, it is quite a hurdle, and I think for a lot of people as well, to do the things they would love to do in the evenings, whereas where there's nobody calling you to do it or there's no pressure on it, and so very quickly something that you love doing uh, gets overwritten by other priorities. You have to do your taxes, and there's a new Netflix release, whatever it is, something gets in the way of you wanting to paint. And as you may know and see, I paint quite a bit of my portraits, and it helps me already to have this challenge of doing 100 of them, and I have my subjects all prepared and decided on. So each time I want to start painting, I don't have to think of, oh, but Friedrich, what is it that you're close to, and what is it that's important to you in your life that you have to make an ultimate kind of manifesto statement about. No, I just have a reference and I spend my evening painting that reference and learn as much as I can from that, and try to have like a conversation with this reference and make it mine, kind of own it, right? And that already helps me quite a bit on starting every time I want to paint. There's a system in place. Now, what happened 2 months ago, I went on holidays, and although I was painting a lot on the holidays, but landscapes only, I came back and life got in the way. I didn't do any portraits. And it's now about 2 months, maybe a bit less. And I didn't do a portrait in that time. And I was stuck on 85 or 86 of all the portraits I wanted to do from 100. And I didn't, usually I do 2 or 3 per week. And now nothing for 2 months. And I noticed something happened in me where I started feeling guilty. I started feeling ashamed and felt like, even though I knew it's okay now that life is in the way and something else is more important and needs to get done more urgently than my painting, and I consciously made that decision to stop painting for a while, I still had this sort of like guilt and a bit of, the fear coming up. What happens if by the time you go back to painting, you don't know how to paint anymore? You don't know what you're doing anymore. And like, to all these people, like, I'm posting on YouTube as well, my processes, am I just like faking, whatever I'm doing? These sort of like fears, I think you all and we all have started building up quite dramatically. So much that now that my whatever got in the way in my life now stopped, that yesterday evening actually I had time to do a painting. I was like, for 2 hours there, like, I do first have some food and then I do this, and then I was kind of like delaying it. And some friends came and I was like, but no, okay. And I finally got myself to like convince myself to at least do a sketch. Not even painting, just put the paper on the, like, just, I usually draw on this, paint on these papers and just stick it on here, put the tape on and put it in front, get the reference next to it, and at least do the drawing. Nothing can hurt doing a drawing. And there's just, my reference will be usually here on my phone, and I paint on here. So that was sort of like what got me into it. And suddenly I felt I moved past that point of just doing the drawing, and I was mixing my first colors and put the big blocks in, and I felt myself really enjoying that process again. And long story short, I finished the painting like one sitting, I think an hour and a half or so, and it was really like I enjoyed the process so much. Like I was completely, like the hours flew by, nothing. I was like done. And what I then, in retrospective, kind of noticed is that all the fears and all the shame and guilt of not doing the work came from result. It was result based. So it was like, oh, you don't finish a work, you don't prove yourself and other people, all this, like, but it was based on the finished artwork. You didn't do number 87, 88, whatever it is, the result. And then when I got into painting and afterwards, I noticed that my pleasure actually is in the process. The result, however it comes out, it comes out. And yes, can be frustrating if it comes out in a way that you can do better and you didn't get there for whatever reason. But afterwards, I'm not necessarily attached to the result. What I enjoy a lot about the painting is the process. And so that was like a good thing for me to remember, or like bring this up again. So next time, and probably tomorrow I do another painting, it will be again, get stuck in the process and fall in love with the process. And even if I just like have 20 minutes, I will do it, because it's going to be 20 minutes that I spend enjoying what I do. So maybe this helps you. It helped me now, or will help me now for my future starting to paint again, to think, how can I make a little piece of the start of the process so simple and so kind of like enjoyable that I can just sit down with a cup of tea and do the shitty little drawing beforehand. Stuff like that. Or just clean my palette, or whatever it is that gets me into the process, and then me reconnecting away from the result but into the process of painting. Yeah, so that was maybe a long way around, but I hope maybe you got something out of this. I am definitely kind of revived and reconnected to it, and I am not on 87, I think so now, and have another 3 to do until 90, and then the last 10 I will do with personal references to be more personally involved rather than and emotionally involved with the model and person I'm painting, rather than just anonymous references from somewhere in the internet that somebody put together. But it really helped me to be this sort of like anonymous way of the references until now, because then I wouldn't question myself on the subject too much yet, and could just focus on how can I achieve a certain like effect I want, how can I mix my colors right, how can I layer the brushwork nicely. All these things I think is something each of us has to find out for themselves how to do it, and nobody can shortcut that by watching my videos as well. I hope my videos will, if anything, inspire you to do and go your own way, because that's something you just have to do yourself. That's it though for me from today, and this is not like a new style of video I'm doing. I hope I can leave this or almost unedited, and you might find something in there anyways. That's it for today. See you around.